Hey folks, another beautiful Friday morning here in St. Louis, right outside the Bourbon and Banter headquarters. And today, well, it's been about a week since we gave you the last update regarding the build out. So I thought I'd give you a tour of progress to date, see all the great progress that we're making and all the things that are still to come. So let's go ahead and get inside. All right, so right off the bat, when you walk inside the new space, you're going to see not Mr. Bob Bennett. He's just there temporarily to scare off any uninvited intruders, if you will. But you're going to see the whiskey wall. Now, we're just still framing it here, but this is going to be a focus point when you walk in. And then as you scan around, you see our core offices that were built this week. This is where the carpenter has spent the last couple of days, actually only about a day and a half, to build this space out, which houses my office, as well as our pantry bar area. And of course, you go over here, I've been doing some work on the walls, getting some cracks prepped to be spackling and mudding, but gives you a good sense of what's going on. We're not going to keep the plywood on these walls. We are going to cover these. Right now, we're thinking about a complementary color painted shiplap board running horizontal. We think it'll give it a nice feel without being too expected. What we mean is we're avoiding putting up barnwood if at all possible. Here's a close-up of the whiskey wall. You also notice the wall behind this has been fully painted and repaired. I spent a couple days working a weekend ago to get that all ready so we could start putting the frame up. And of course, once we have an electrician to come in and remove this little timer up on the wall, we'll be able to finish that whiskey wall. Next door to the whiskey wall is what we are calling the pantry. Now this space right now is a good size, and our intention is to put some shelving on this side, some countertops, some cabinets to store our glassware, mixers, that thing, make it sort of a bar surface for anyone who doesn't want to drink their whiskey neat. And then we'll probably throw in a fridge or two. And then of course, on this side, the open studding, we are going to look at putting probably some additional shelving for more of the whiskey, since it's not all going to fit outside. Another point of view as you come out of the pantry and look into the area, this will be the view that you will get. Once again, all those white walls will be painted that same deep blue black that we have on the main whiskey wall, which will really kind of tame the area and draw your eye down. And then we have some really cool treatments we're going to put on these windows to get rid of those curtains. It'll be a very fun and interesting space. Welcome to what will become my office. Not overly large, but a very good size, 13 by 13, a nice square. This is where I'll be putting my command central, if you will. Will also be where I hold all of my virtual tastings for my clients, as well as future Bourbon and Banter content will be filmed here as well as out in the lounge area. And you'll notice one key note of this is that these walls are only 8 feet high. And the reason we did this was to not have to get sophisticated permits to build this out, because they're considered temporary, and also allow us to use the overhead lighting when we need it and not have to do more wiring than is needed in order to have room-specific lighting. The back half of the space is in complete disarray since we've moved a lot of stuff in it, but this is going to be the hallway, and at the end where that chair is where we're going to have a door into the back to get to the restroom. So this is about the width of the hallway. We've got some really cool things coming to put on this back of this wall to hide our e-commerce shipping and products, keep it out of the guest eye, and that'll be done in the upcoming weeks. One of the upgrades that we did about 2 weeks ago was we had the floors in this room refinished. This will give you a sense of what the floors will look like in the rest of the building when we're done with all of the construction. But we also took this space over, and we were able to put a lot of shelves and storage back here. Once again, it's temporary in how it's set up. We've obviously moved all of our cardboard walls, so those of you who were worried about losing those, we still have them. But we've got storage back here. And of course, we've got a couch, so if you come back here and you have to wait for the restroom, you'll have a place to sit. And then this area, we're waiting for our building owner to come in and help build out a kitchenette here, where we'll have a much bigger sink. We'll put in a space to have a dishwasher added in later, and just update this a little bit and make it a little bit more friendly. And then eventually we'll get to painting these walls as well. But for right now, we're going to keep it as it is because we have plenty of other work to do. Well, folks, there you have it. Those are the week 1 updates. We've got some of the walls painted, some of the walls prepped to be painted. We've built out the core office and pantry area, and we're almost done with the whiskey wall stud framing. Not bad for a week's work. What's next? Well, we've got an electrician coming next week who's going to remove the timer off the wall there so we can finish the whiskey shelf studs. We're going to continue to get all the walls prepped, okay? Everything spackled, repaired, backer rods in, caulking, you name it. That's our next phase to get that all done. Also, we'll start sitting with the space so we can get a new quote from our electrician and see how big of a pain that's going to be, because our last quote for electric, well, $18,000, and we're hoping to carve that down quite a bit to make this build out a little bit more manageable. We appreciate you checking it out. If you have any recommendations, any thoughts on how we should use the space, drop them in the comments. Once again, we're limited by budget, but we're always looking for good ideas. And as always, we appreciate you being part of the Bourbon Banter community. And remember, folks, if you're going to drink, well, drink curious. Cheers, everyone.